Welcome to Fire and Feedback, where we hope to have some serious conversations combined with some old school grit. We're Whiskey Arms, and we're a community of warriors and defenders and protectors, and we believe in the responsible design, training, and use of firearms. We will be speaking freely, and we train relentlessly, and we also honor the weight of the work that we do. You might hear us or see us sipping some bourbon, but we never do that during training. At Whiskey Arms, the pour only comes after the work is done. Safety, discipline, and brotherhood. That's our code. Now pull up a seat and let's get into it. So mindset, that is something we've come back to a couple of different times. I'm talking about myths and perceptions and mindset. So coming back, Bob, let's talk a little bit about, let's take a special operations perceived myth and what that means to the general audience when they are making an assumption about a piece of gear or a weapon that they're going to pick. I mean, does that make any sense? Are they reading too much into Hollywood or focusing too much on what they think they've seen off of YouTube combat footage, and they're using that and trying to apply it to themselves without it making a good use case?
Well, that's a huge thing. That's a huge influence on people. They've seen it in a movie or a YouTube or something like that, because that's their only experience. That's the only thing they have access to, and that's the thing too. One of the myths, right? Because it takes a team to do any of this stuff. So even just to get this set up, it wasn't just you, it wasn't just Tom, it wasn't just Scott. It took everybody to get this going. Everybody's got a role. If everybody does their jobs, then it goes smoothly, right? And you can apply that from a military side of the house. Yeah, okay, there's some singleton missions that you can be on, but mostly you're on a team. It takes everybody to do their job 100% and to make the team effective. Same thing with the influences. So the influences on, and those are the things that I teach too when they come to a course. It's like, this isn't the only thing. A gun isn't your only solution. There's other things out there that I can provide and others can provide that are going to help you, live through the day. Um, Give you more confidence to walk through your threat environment, whatever that is, and it varies wherever you are in the United States. Um, So those are the myths. So you can't take just one guy. The one guy doesn't make it work. One guy or gal, doesn't matter. You can apply that to business operations. You can apply that to relationships, personal relationships, family relationships, training in events or major events. An event coordinator, as an example, that's this one person who's coordinating, but they're involving a whole group of people to make that happen. So that's the thing. That's the biggest thing that I take away from the military, apply it to daily life, and I try to convey that in the training. It's not the gun, it's not the guns and the ammo. That's a big thing if that's what you're gonna use. But it's not the arrow. It's the Indian kind of thing, right? What's the Indian bringing to the fight, right? And the thing is, yes, I'll teach you how to shoot a gun. I'll teach you how to be situation aware. I'll teach you whatever you want. But end of the day, it's up to you to do your job, and it's up to you to use your resources to really conduct your life, whatever that is.
So there was a time we talked about a little bit. Well, I was in charge of selection training, and when we increased into a tradecraft portion, that was the second phase of our selection program that we talked about. And traditionally, it had been we took the best of the best shooters, right? You had to be the top of the line in protective capabilities, a little bit of recovery capability, but you had to have your head on a swivel because you could be working in semi permissive to non permissive environments. But then we needed to increase our capabilities as the mission changed, right? I know I'm talking around the subject a lot, right? But I'm just trying to watch what I'm saying. But at the same time, what we needed to do is understand as we evolved with our capability, what we needed to do is to stop looking at everybody's just being, are you qualified to be a gunslinger? We needed to be able to look at them and say, are you a global scout? So part of it was we say, hey, do you have a Kit Carson mindset? Can you look at the top of the valley and look down in there and say, these are the 5 risks I'm probably going to get into if I go in there with the wrong mindset? Why don't I just walk around the valley rather than go down into the valley of death kind of thing? So what we actually had to do is first and foremost go in and teach them about situation awareness and what that meant to compromise with the mission. And then from the compromise of the mission working backward is how you're going to avoid that. Now, okay, now select the gear you need to get out of that problem, right? So it might be that the best thing I can have is a Glock 26 and just one mag in a pocket, or it can be that I have a go bag. But those kind of things is what drives it. To me, when I talk about what it means to personal defense or even law enforcement, say, what's the mission first and foremost? What do you expect to get out of it? What's the consequences of you if you do your job wrong? Now look at those first and then say, okay, what do you need to do your job? One of the things for me, here's this, maybe we'll hit it out later. SROs and 5.56 long guns for school resource officers. I'm not sure I understand that. We're going to talk about over penetration and what it means into determining, target discrimination, whether or not good iron sights, and then whether we're swapping out and everything else. I think that is when we talk about perception and miss and what it means to, some of it may just be cost. I don't know. But I think we still need to go back and take a look at the mission first, consequence management, and then determine what you want for your gear.
Yeah, weapon systems, rangeable ammo, in those certain situations. But what you said, SA, is the top. Situational awareness.
Yeah.
That's the best thing I can relay to anybody that I teach.
Yeah, I think a lot of times we go into the situational awareness is about, do I know where the back door is, right?
Right. Yeah.
Do I have my back so I'm looking at the front entrance of the main person? I think that's a good point. At least that you're aware of it. But what we're talking about is, do you even know whether or not you're in a good or bad neighborhood? Do you know what your ingress and egress would be if this all of a sudden became a flash mob, civil unrest?
Sure.
Right? Do you drive right in the middle of a protest where all of a sudden you've got a cinder block being thrown through your windshield? Those are the kind of things that would then drive, okay, what's the first and foremost thing you're going to do about that?